This is the Fuji X100V, and it's the camera so hot that it's sold out everywhere. And where it's not sold out, it's often for sale for almost twice the price. Now, I love this camera, it's mine. I'm not gonna sell it to you, but I am gonna recommend other alternatives that I've tested that are fun and beautiful that you can actually buy.
We're also going to tell you what makes the X100V so magical. But first, I want to take a second and thank our sponsor, KEH. KEH is the best place to buy camera gear because you can actually get good prices on. You're buying used equipment, but it has been thoroughly cleaned, repaired, and checked, and they will give you a 180-day warranty in case anything breaks. And if for some reason you don't like it, you have 21 days to return it. You can also sell them your old gear. So if you see something that you like, feel free to trade up. And in fact, they'll give you a $200 bonus for trading in some Fuji gear. That's how high demand Fuji equipment is right now.
If you want to buy something from KEH, go into our links below. You can get 5% off, or if you're selling something there, you can get a 5% bonus. So thanks, KEH. Okay, let's get into it. First, let's talk about what people love about the X100V. It is a beautiful camera. The design is just gorgeous. It's vintage, it's compact. It's a reasonable price when you can get one for $1,400. And it has this little built-in fixed lens, so you don't have to worry about that. I think at its core, what makes it great is that it takes good pictures, it's fun to use, and it's easy to take everywhere, and it's beautiful. So I will be using what I think people love about this camera to pick out other cameras that you can actually buy. If you're interested in the X100V, you might be thinking about getting the previous model, which is the X100F. And it has a lot of what you'll love about this, but it's also difficult to get. People have caught on to the fact that if you love this camera, you're probably gonna love the one before it. It's about $1,100 if you can get it, but it does not have the tilt screen. It has a focusing system that's not as good or as exact. It has fewer autofocusing points. And the lens is a previous generation of lens, so the resolution is not quite as good. Still, I had the X100F before I had this, and I thought that the shooting experience was similar, so that's going to be your closest dupe to the X100V. I think that the next camera you're going to enjoy, if you like this one, is going to be the Fuji X-T3, and it's got a lot in common with the X100V. It's portable, it's very light. You can get a compact lens for it, so you still don't have a huge camera, and you also have this beautiful vintage look. We put this leather case on ours. It does not come with it, but it does give it that vintage, fun vibe. It has a very similar sensor. You're going to get a similar experience with the buttons, but what I like more about it is that it has the ISO and the shutter speed right on top here, so everything that you might want to adjust is right at your fingertips. This also has a tilting screen, and the experience is pretty similar, but this is not a fixed lens camera. You can change the lenses. Now, for some people that might overcomplicate the whole system, but for me, it's nice that I can put something a little more telephoto on and change the types of photos that I can get. The other crazy thing is that you can get an X-T3 for around $800 at KEH. So for less money, I think you're getting a little more camera and some room to grow by being able to put different lenses on it. Next, I want to go to the X-Pro series of Fuji. It's a little bit bigger. It's a rangefinder like the X100V. So if you like that you can have the optical viewfinder on here, that's where you just see the world as it is, then you might also be gravitating towards the X-Pro 3. You can also change the viewfinders that you're getting the digital experience, and you can see all the filters and things that you get with the X100V, but you can choose between them. Another thing that I like about staying within the Fuji system is that there's this cool, it's a small feature, but I really like it. There's a little screw on top of the shutter button, and so you can actually screw in this really cool little shutter button that's like a film camera. And you know, it might seem small, but the ants weigh more than the elephants. All of these tiny things add up to just a cool experience. And I think that's what makes people gravitate towards the Fuji cameras. One of the cool things about the X-Pro 3 is it's got this little tiny screen on the back that looks like where you used to put your film tabs. It's really leaning into the film experience. And one thing that's interesting is that the screen just tilts down. So it's not really heavily leaning on the fact that this has a screen at all. It's there if you want to look at it, but mostly you're getting this film experience. If you want a conventional screen, you can get it on the X-Pro too. And in the X-Pro series, you can get these at KEH starting for around $500, which is a lot less than the X100V's $1,400. If you can get it, I've seen them for up to like $2,200. That's how in demand they are. Again, this is not a fixed lens camera. You could put a smaller lens on it. You could put this exact little pancake lens on this camera, or you could have a larger lens. And to me, I think that gives you a little room to grow and a little bit of versatility. Next, I want to talk about the Fuji X-S10. And this is about $1,000 26 megapixel camera. This one feels a little bit different to me. You can see it has this deep grip, so you're not getting this flat kind of film camera look. I don't think this is so much replicating a film camera, but I do think that it still looks cool. I think that the user experience is a little different. You'll see that the buttons are slightly different. The exposure compensation button, you can program it to something else, but it doesn't have the plus and minus like the X100V or these other cameras. There's something a little more modern about this camera, and it loses that film experience to me, but it's going to take excellent pictures. It has this video recording button on top, so it's not trying to be super vintage. It's a little bit more modern. And I think something that's cooler that Fuji does with these little details, this button, you have the flash just pop up. So it does have an on-camera flash, pop-up flash, which is nice. Oh, and it also has a fully articulating screen. So if you do want to film video and look at yourself, that's an option. You still have a small compact camera that takes great pictures. You're staying within the Fuji system, but you're able to take video, see yourself, and get more interesting angles with this screen. Definitely a good option for Fuji lovers. Let's talk about different systems though. We've covered what I think Fuji has to offer, and now we'll talk about Nikon, Sony, Olympus. There's far more options, and even cameras as low as like $300 or $400 that could satisfy your itch for the X100V.
If what you love about the X100V is the lightweight and retro styling, check out the Nikon Zfc. It's only $800 at KEH, and you can see, I think it's just gorgeous, and it's light enough to hang around your neck like this. It has all the analog controls for ISO and shutter speed, but not for aperture. None of Nikon's lenses have the aperture rings, unfortunately, but it does show you the f-stop on this really cool little display that's reminiscent of the film counter on older lenses. I find the Nikon Zfc really fun to use especially for quick casual snapshots. I like the Fuji cameras a little bit better when I'm getting manual with it, because the Nikon camera makes you switch between the PA-SM modes, but I don't think most people end up using those anyway. One thing the X100V doesn't have is a flip screen. So if you ever want to film yourself, make some TikToks or YouTubes, this has good autofocus and a flip screen so you can see yourself. The kit lens here is good and matches and has a nice zoom to it, which is more capable than the X100V, but you might want to check out the 28mm f2.8S lens from Nikon because it matches the aesthetic and will give you better low light performance and more background blur. If what you like about the X100V is that it's small, light, and capable, then check out the Sony cameras, especially the RX cameras. Now, I'm holding the ZV-1 here, and it is such a powerhouse for vlogging and travel and stills. It is so small. It doesn't have a viewfinder, so you're going to have to use the flip screen here. And it doesn't have that retro styling. Like, I don't love the design as much as I do the Fuji's, but if you like this sort of solid black aesthetic, you might love it. Also check out the RX 100, which is very capable and has a nice zoom lens. Or if what you want is image quality, the R1R Mark II has 42 megapixels and a very sharp prime lens in a package that almost fits in your pocket. So while they don't have that retro aesthetic, and I don't find them as much fun to use, they're extremely capable and compact and really engineering marvels.
Now, I don't have any on me, but Olympus is also a great option. The company has recently changed hands, but that doesn't mean you can't still get their great used cameras. I had the EM10 and I liked it a lot for the same reasons that I like the X100V. It is stylish, it's vintage, it has a tactile experience, and it's portable and small. I think it's a good comparable camera to the X100V, and you can get them for like $300 or $400 used. So check out Olympus cameras too when you're searching for your X100V dupe. And you can do that at our sponsors page, KEH.com. They have thousands and thousands of used cameras, and they have professionals that actually check them out and make sure that they're in good working condition. Go on there and shop. They have great deals. You can get 5% off with our coupon code, but also if you do not like the camera, you have a 21-day return period, and if anything goes wrong, it has a 180-day warranty. So you really can't lose. Thanks, KEH. Again, go down to the description down below, get 5% off anything you buy with our coupon code, or a 5% bonus towards anything you sell, and they'll have a bunch of options for you there.